Okay, my name is Randy Olson. I'm a
Hey, Randy.
scuba instructor from numerous agencies. I'm also a 100-ton Coast Guard boat captain. I've been to Bonaire a number of times. Next one. Bonaire is part of the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao. It's 40 miles from Curacao and it's 50 miles from Venezuela, just north of Venezuela. This is actually outside the hurricane belt, so don't worry about hurricanes going in July. You may have winds occasionally, but hurricanes don't hit Bonaire. You get about 22 inches of rain a year, so that's not a big problem either. Next one. Bonaire is 24 miles long and about 5 miles wide at the widest point. There are two major cities, Klondike and Rincon. Bonaire has always been considered a diver's paradise and diver's freedom. Bonaire, the whole island is a natural park. That's why you're having to pay that $40 park fee, which is good for the year. That's good for all water activities you do. It's also good for on the north end of the island. That's a good thing to do on your last day when you're decompressing before you fly back home. You can drive up north to the park, and I'll show you some slides of that. Their license plates have always said Diver's Paradise. Bonaire was pretty much developed by someone named Captain Don. He showed up in 1964 with 64 cents in his pocket. He started doing dive trips and tours for people. He was the first one to open a dive resort on the island, and he also was the first one to open what was considered 24-hour divers resort. And that's where they came up with the diver's freedom. Next. You'll fly into Flamingo Airport. There is a KLM flight that flies in once a day from the Netherlands, and the plane sticks out about on both ends of this airport. This was actually built in 1942 by the military.
Small.
Yeah, it's a very small airport. You notice there are no gates, so you actually walk out on the terminal.
Oh, yeah, I see that. That's cool.
Okay. Jeff mentioned that there is a visitor's entry fee. It's easiest if you go online. Here's the website to go to, touristtax.bonaire.gov. Make sure you're using the Bonaire government's website. There are ones that will charge you a fee for doing it, but there's no extra fee if you go through Bonaire's government's thing. Like I said, the whole island is considered a nature reserve, so they have a nature fee. It's good for all water activities. You'll see some slides. Bonaire has windsurfing, kite surfing, kayaking, watercraft, all the different activities you could do in the water. You have, so your fee is good for all water activities, and you get the free entrance to the park up on the north end of the island. Big thing, notice this is in red, no gloves. Do not even think about bringing gloves. That is the #1 rule, no gloves, because you don't touch anything. Another thing is you're not allowed to have chem lights. One alternative, you got the camera?
Yeah, I think. Stop sharing.
No, the camera's over there, but that's okay. You can put this camera on too, honey.
You wanna, okay, how do I do that?
It's on.
Okay, so
Okay.
Randy's talking, I'm gonna hold the light up. Let me turn it on. You gotta open it.
Yeah, open it and then.
Anyway,
Yeah,
no,
anyway.
no chem lights, so these are basically tank lights that are electric, or they have battery operated. So this one is pretty cool, it's like a lightsaber. So it's fiber optic or something, but very neat. We're gonna get a couple of these and take them with us. So we'll have them on site.
Now we have to share our screen again.
Oh, I gotta do that.
Yes.
All right, so share screen.
There you go.
Okay, next slide then.
Next slide.
No
There we go.
gloves.
Okay, Bonaire is actually 3 different areas that are very unique. The center part is very arid. The south end is very flat. It will remind you a lot of being in Arizona, Texas, those type places. But at the very far end of the island, there's a mangrove system and salt pan. There's a lot of good kayaking. There's some caves down there. The north end is more greeny and it's hilly. It will remind you more of California. You'll see the cliffs in some of the pictures. Next one. Some of the things to do when you're in Bonaire, the salt pans and the mountains. The mountains are actually salt. They're about 35 to 45 feet tall. Klondike is the downtown area, the major city. It's where a lot of the restaurants are. Rincon is a smaller town up north. Big thing to do in Rincon is go get the goat ice cream, goat milk ice cream.
Mm.
Godo Lake is actually the flamingo reserve. The flamingos fly in from Venezuela. The park is has roads driving through. I believe it's 20-something miles in there. And then there's the caves that you can book trips through. Okay, next. If you go on a regular basis, there is the visitor center actually has a program. If you go 10 years in a row, you get a medallion, a bronze medallion, 15 years, 20 years, and 30 years. 30 is something they just added. They had 2 individuals who just got it, and they gave them platinum medals now. Okay.
How old were you in that photo, Randy?
If you'll notice, I'm wearing the Ocean Reef full face mask. I was the first dealer in Florida to have
Oh, wow.
the full face masks that are now sold at Ocala Dive Center.
Cool.
That picture is probably in early 2000s. A lot of iguanas. Okay, next one. Okay, you're going to stay at Buddy's. You can click through that one. Okay, this is Buddy's Dive Center. Buddy's has their own fleet of boats. They keep them right offshore, where you'll see the dock there. That's very well lit at night. There are 2 entries. You can do a giant stride off that, or you can do walk down the stairs. It's about 25 yards to the reef right off of there. You'll see the different rooms. Go ahead, next one. One of the things that comes with your package is you get a pickup truck. They're 4-door, they're great little trucks. They have tank racks in the back. The 4-door mini pickup, and Buddies will assign one of those to each one of the rooms. Okay, next. You'll have a balcony. A lot of the rooms will look out onto the water. It's nice breeze through there. You can go to the next one. You have tile floors, plenty of furniture. Air conditioning works really well in there. Next one. This is the unique thing here. That is a drive-through air station.
I read about that.
You take your pickup truck, you just drive through, and you'll like they have the red tanks on the left. That's going to be air. The green tanks on the other side. They have pressure gauges there. They have the percentage readers for your nitrox things, which is something I would highly recommend. Anybody going on a trip needs to do the nitrox certification before you go. You're going to be diving continuously. If you're a hardcore diver, you might get up before breakfast, do a dive, go have breakfast, do 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, then go do night dives. So you need to be on nitrox. So that is the one class that you need to take ahead of time when you go to Bonaire, is take your nitrox class. Your other classes, this is a great location to do specialty dives, and I'll get into that in a little way. Next one. This is just a walkway, walking in between the villas. There's a small quiet pool in the center there. Okay, next one. That's the quiet pool looking at the villas. Those are 3 those units right there are all 3-bedroom
Hmm.
units. I know those because I've stayed there enough. Okay, next one. That's just another one.
Point of
If
view.
you see in the background, that is Klein Bonaire. Klein in Dutch means small. A small Bonaire out there. It's a private, it's an island, belongs to the natural refuge, the nature center. And you need to get on a boat. That's 1 mile, well, between a half to 1 mile offshore. They actually do a swim every year, the 1 mile thing from the island over. There's only one small area that's allowed to have boats and people on it. They keep the island very natural for the turtles. There's a lot of turtles in Bonaire. Next. This is looking from down at the on the bottom right corner. That is the swim up pool that goes to the bar pool, and the cafe. And then they have the tables that are right and chairs are right on the beach there. And you'll see Klein Bonaire in the background. Okay, next one. This is the dock at Buddy's where you'll catch the boat. You'll notice there's rinse tanks there. There's seats that you can suit up on, and the way the shop is set up. Next one. Okay, Buddy's, like I said, has their own fleet of boats. They've got different sized boats for your different groups. In the background, and I got a better picture, I hope. That's where they have breakfast, and then to the left is a restaurant. Used to be called Lion's Den. Next one. This is just looking from Buddy's, looking at downtown Klondike. Doesn't rain a lot in Bonaire, but occasionally you can get a rainbow. Next one.
Pretty.
Okay, this is a good picture that I'm looking at. Where the white railing is, that's where you will have breakfast. They have a really good buffet breakfast, great food. You'll notice downstairs is where the air fill station is, the gear lockers, and then you have your dock area. Okay, next one. What typically when I've done groups in the past, what we'll do is everybody will kind of, meet up for breakfast in the morning. They'll have there's a buffet line that goes around the left side and all that, and it goes all the way, L-shaped. So it's a big buffet. And people just, sit around, what are you going to do today? Where do you want to go? Type things. So this is a good meeting place to plan your day out at breakfast. Okay, next. Okay, this is the cafe, the bar area. You can have lunch here. A lot of times just in between breaks, a lot of time if people are back at the, they're just diving some of the sites at Buddy's, they'll come in here for lunch. Next. If you have people that aren't going to dive all the time,
They look unhappy. No, I'm just kidding.
they there's the places they can sit out by the thing, and you notice there's the pool that for you that aren't diving, that you can swim up to the bar. The next one. Okay, Buddy's usually runs a and some of the other resorts do it too, so you need to kind of check about who's doing what, but they'll have theme nights. Usually there's a barbecue at Buddy's. This is where it's held. I believe it's Wednesday or Thursday night. Really good food, not that expensive, compared to some of the other places to eat. So this is one of the places you can eat. This is actually taken probably at 7 o'clock at night. Show you how bright it is.
Wow.
Next one. Bonaire is for all ages. This couple actually has traveled with me numerous times. They live up in the Carolinas, but they always come down to do the trip. Great couple. They really enjoy themselves all the time. Next one. There's a manager's rum punch reception. And you can kind of see that they've been there for a while at the manager's rum punch thing. Okay, next. It's a great place, when you're not diving for people to get to, you know, catch up with your friends, get to know new people. It's just a very friendly environment, laid back. Bonaire has always been considered the #1 beach diving, nicest, cleanest beaches and all that. And it's just a really nice place to go. Next. This was actually taken, this restaurant isn't there anymore. It was called Lion's Den. That is a 1-pound hamburger, and they give you 1 pound of French fries. And if you could eat the whole thing, you got a free hat.
Cool.
It's okay. Next.
That's what you weren't here, but a gentleman was telling us all about that. Oh, no, you were here. He said it was the biggest hamburger. He didn't know how he was
Yes,
gonna eat it. Yeah.
it's the biggest
Yeah.
hamburger you. I have the hat at home. Okay. Okay, this is the mountain that's on the far end up by where the park, Washington Flag by Park is. It is 714 feet tall. This is taken from sitting at where I was showing you where they do the managers or the theme park and all that's just looking out that direction. Next one. Just nighttime. Okay, next one. Okay. It doesn't matter where you stay in Bonaire, you're going to do your night dive at Buddy's. But you guys are already staying at Buddy's, so you're ahead of the game. I've stayed at a lot of different resorts, and we always went to Buddy's to do night. Because Buddy's has the best lit dive area. It's one of the nicer reefs to start with, and at night it's just great. Right behind you is where they fill the tanks. Just to the kind of upper left, that's where there are lockers. One of the things you might want to bring with you is a very small lock to put on your gear locker. Next. This is just sitting on the bench, getting ready for a night dive. That's not taken with a flash. That's actually the light of how lit Buddy's ramp is. Next. This is, the water is actually lit up at night. They have lights in there, so you can see as you're walking down the steps. You're not having to do a giant stride in the dark. You walk down here, you go 25 yards offshore, and you're on the ledge. Most of the island is on a ledge, and you pick how deep. 40. 40 shouldn't have to go more than 60. Just to see what you really want. It's a beautiful reef. This one's a really good reef to go out just over the edge and then come back in the shallows. Next one. And then go, okay, next thing. Okay, there are 80 dive sites that are named. Most of them were named by Captain Don. There's one up there about where it looks like there's a little, where Bonaire Lake is up there. There's one called Diane's Leap. In the early days when Captain Don was doing tours, he had a group and there was a lady diver with him. And it's kind of a blind dive. When you get up there, you're actually jumping off some cliffs. There is oil slick reef jump. There's Diane's Leap. And Diane was the only one that would, was brave enough to actually jump off. So they named the dive site after her. The sites that I would recommend for first timers all are going to be more where you start to see all that red and Klondike area right south of the airport. Starting at the airport going down, you're going to find some reefs you really like. There's one right off of the end of the runway. It's called Windsock. Got a little dock there, really nice dive site. Also, there's sites all around Klondike. Klein Bonaire that you can do when you're doing your boat dives. What I would recommend, since you guys have boat dives, is I would do the boat dives to the north, Capata, 1,000 Steps, a couple of the others up there, do those, or the Helma Hooker, which I'll show you in a minute. Next picture. Okay, you will find a map, the maps that I've been showing you, the island that has, you'll find those maps no matter where. And bike stops, the grocery store, everybody has the little map and they're all the same and all the dive shops are listed. One of the things that you're going to see, when someone says, go to so-and-so and all that, notice in, where's this Bonaire dive site, see the yellow rocks. Look for the yellow rock. And then when you see the yellow rock and you pull in, look out in the water, there are buoys. They are not allowed to anchor any boats in Bonaire. All boats have to tie off to the mooring buoys. So all you do is look for the yellow rocks. And that's where your dive site is. And your buoy is going to be out and show you where in the water. The next one. 1,000 steps is actually 64 steps. But when everybody used to do this one, everybody said it felt like 1,000 steps, you know, when you're coming back up and having to carry that gear up the stairs. Next one, that'll show you a little better. Okay, that shows you how close the reef is. You can see the light color and then to get the dark colors. And you'll notice that there are a lot of dive sites all along there. Notice there's a cliff there that kind of sticks. So you actually, some of those dive sites, if you do those dive sites from the shore, you're jumping off the cliff. That's why I recommend doing these from the boat.
Yeah.
And Diane's is a beautiful site. Kapata is a great site. Next one. Okay, we talked about that you get a pickup truck. And you go and you have your breakfast and where do you want to go? And okay, this is where we're going to go. You get your pickup truck, you drive down the road, you look for the yellow rock that has the name you're looking for. You back your pickup onto the beach and you gear up. You'll notice that everybody is wearing it looks like full suits. Most of them are Lycra suits, 0.5s. You're 12 degrees above the equator. It is very hot. Make sure you have sunscreen. And I highly recommend you wear a full sleeve, at least rash guard, and preferably a light suit. Next one. Okay, this shows you how rocky it is. You need very hot, hard-soled booties. If you're used to doing boat diving and you have the soft soles, they will not work in Bonaire. It will go right through those. It's very rocky. You notice how close it is that you walk out and where you're seeing the sandy bottom, you just walk out in there, you can put your fins on, you got the light area, short swim, you know, you're 25 to 30 yards away. Next. Some dive sites are very popular. And like I said, everybody sits around the breakfast and they go, you know, what site you going to? Where are you going? And a lot of times they would always ask me, well, where are you going? And I would say where I was going, and I would pull in and it was a traffic jam.
Oh.
So
lie to them.
uh,
Lie to them, right?
yeah. Okay, next one. This is the house reef at DV Flamingo, which has a really interesting history. The first dive site or dive motel on the island was Captain Don opened it, and he opened it on this site. This site actually during the war was a German Austrian concentration camp, because when the Germans invaded the Netherlands, they didn't trust them, like, you know, where the United States took big concentration camps of Japanese. The Netherlands did it with all the Germans and Austrians that were on the island. And they, this actually has one of the best house reef setups for where their dive gear and all that stuff. Okay, next. We'll probably go through these next ones kind of quick.
Under the sea.
Yeah, under the sea. Okay. The shop sells the Seamaster, what
Sea life.
Sea Life camera. That picture was taken with a Sea Life camera with the flash on it. But excellent. It's an excellent camera to have. So if you're going to, I highly recommend if you're going to have a camera that you can take some pictures. Next one. This was probably taken with a GoPro. Didn't have the lighting, doesn't have that. Next one. When you do underwater photography, one of the things you look for is use the rule of threes and use the eye. The eye needs to be in one of the third sections where you do, you know, looks like a tic-tac-toe board on that. Use the eye as your center point.
Mm.
Next. Notice eyes again. Next one.
Mhm.
You will see a lot of eels. Next one. This is taken, I can't remember what kind of camera it was and who took, I know who took the picture, but it's just another camera. And this is very shallow. This is probably in 10 feet of water. Next
Oh,
one.
wow.
Okay, my favorites. Garden eels. Very little, about a half to inch. Dive site called Invisibles. Down south, it's by Alice in Wonderland. And you go out there and you go in the sand and you lay down and be as quiet and don't move. And all of a sudden you'll see 100 little garden eels come up out of the water. It's the neatest thing. And you just kind of barely move and they'll all go down. So you lay still and they'll all come back out. It's a great game. But I love garden eels because it looks like, you know, a wavy, grassy field. Next one. Squid, that was taken with a small camera also. Next one. Just brief.
Just keep going.
But when you see those reef areas, look carefully at it because you're going to have the little cleaner shrimps. You're going to have you might see the small eels. You might see a seahorse. Don't touch them. Stay away enough that you're not going to disrupt the coral, but look carefully at those because you can see a lot of neat stuff in there. Next one. You know,
Oh, I think we got
eels
that one.
blend in really well. Okay, next. Next one. Next. You will see a lot of these. Normally they're hanging vertically in all the different seagrasses and things. So you see the next one. You will see a lot of different varieties of eels. Next one. But you notice that had the picture, you had the eyes. Here you have eyes. Next one. Even though you're looking at his mouth, you still have his eye is in the center of the picture. Next one. Orange cup coral. This is actually taken under the dock at Buddy's at night. They come out at night. You'll see this big bloom of these things at night in different locations. Next one. Blimming. Any of you, you'll see a lot of these if you guys go down on the trip when you guys go to Blue Heron Bridge. Those things are everywhere down in Blue Heron. Next one. Like I said, look carefully because there are a lot of cleaner shrimps in Bonaire. There's a lot of good things for doing macro photography. Next one.
Cool.
I just like that picture. Okay, next one. Just kind of go through some of these. Next one. Okay, this one was actually taken right off the airport under the dock. This is in probably 6-10 feet of water. Next one. A lot of the dive masters and the different dive shops, they'll let you know if they're starting to see seahorses when they're seeing them at. You'll see a lot of that down like Alice in Wonderland has a lot of the macros. Next one. They have some huge eels. Okay, next one. This is the Helma Hooker. It sank in 1984. It was confiscated as a drug ship. It's in between 100 and 130 feet. It can be done as a shore dive or as a boat dive. If you are a more experienced diver, you can do this probably offshore, but otherwise I would probably recommend a boat. This is another one. You can get your deep diving. You can get your wreck diving. You can get a lot of specialties while you're in Bonaire. So if you're looking for your advanced, you're looking at your master diver, if you're looking at moving up into your diving career, Bonaire is a great location to work with that. Okay, next. Two really good photographic places you'll see is a lot of people will have their picture taken on the side there, and the other one is on the back side on the prop, staying vertical. You know, so you need your buoyancy pretty good when you're able to, stand still long enough for someone to take a picture of you on the Howland Hooker. Okay. But that is a great dive to do. If you have the certifications or you're working on it and you're with Jeff or somebody that is holding your hand. Next. Okay, top side. Okay, next. This is actually the airport. That is cactus. They use cactus as on their fence because of the donkeys, and I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, next one. In the beginning of the picture, when I started this, I said some of the things to do, and I said the mountains. This is the mountains. That is salt. What they do is they pump the sea in there, evaporate it, use big graders, and next slide. They use these big conveyor belt things that pile it up. Next one.
I remember seeing those in the distance. Mhm.
Okay, this is salt pier. If there is not a ship in, you can normally hire a dive master to dive this. A lot of really good macro photography. Typically, there's a ship that goes 3-week cycle that goes, loads the salt, comes back to the United States and does a circle again. But you can see right here how close it is from the shore off to the drop-offs again. You are very close. These are not long swims. Next one. This is downtown Klondike during rush hour. Next one. This is Bonaire's version of the Patrick Mall. There are 2 American restaurants on the island. There is a Kentucky Fried Chicken stand, which is about half the size of what you would have at the Patrick Mall. And there is a Subway. That is the American restaurants on the island. The Kentucky Fried Chicken is down that little hallway. There's some different shops in there.
Well, good to know.
Now, next year's trip will probably be Curacao, which is the shopping mecca. You will do better there. You'll spend more time shopping there than you will diving. It's a lot of shops in Curacao. Bonaire is diving. Okay, this is called White Slave. They actually have the little White Slave huts, and there's a dive site called White Slave. Next picture. This is Red Slave. They used to have the Dutch government actually had their own slaves, and they worked the salt pans, which are right across from the white and red slaves. So the slaves would stay in here during the week because a lot of them lived up more closer to Rincon. And they, these were, you saw how small they were, but this is where they stayed. The Dutch were actually one of the first people to ban slavery. Next. Anybody that's ever been to Bradenton, Anna Marie Island, all that, if you look at this picture very carefully, you'll notice that it says Sea Track Dive Center, 13.
Yeah,
that is Bradenton. You also see a Apollo Beach. That's just south of Tampa. The dive shop actually had all those signs painted ahead of time. They had this prepared. They had their hammer with them, and they actually added, because this post has been sitting there for a while. So they actually added all those. So the whole top of that one, they're all from dive shops from the Anna Marie, Cortez, Bradenton, that area.
that's cool.
Okay, next. This is 1,000 Steps again. So like I said, you're better off doing this one. Beautiful dive site, better off doing it with the boat. Next one. You can just skip over that one because we already talked about the park fees. Okay, next. When you do the drive up north, this is actually an area called Capata. There's a dive shop, a dive site called Capata. And on weekends, they have their little snack bar open. Next. This is what the roads look like driving through the park. And there's actually a big entrance to the parking lot. This is getting to the park. Next one. This is Godemere Lake. It is a flamingo sanctuary. The flamingos fly in from Venezuela. Next one.
Close up.
Okay.
Close up of the flamingo.
Okay, next picture. Okay. This is, this one is actually taken on the north end of the island, but if you go to the east side of the island where you don't dive, this is what the other side of the island looks like. That's why you don't dive over there. There is a couple of operations that will use the rigid inflatables, and if you're a real techie and experienced diver, on certain days you can dive over there, but most people don't dive over there. When you're walking over there, make sure you have good footwear. I ended up taking someone to the hospital because they slipped on these rocks, and it's like a cheese grater. It will eat your skin up if you trip on that rock. It is volcanic and it's very sharp. Okay, next one. Part of that $40 fee that you do is for water activities. They got kite surfing, they have windsurfing. They have the windsurfing professional championships are held in Bonaire. Of the top 10 professionals in the world, 5 of them are from Bonaire. So the south end of the island is very big in air water sports. Next. This was taken one of the first times I went. This is actually outside the Plaza Resort, which is at the time was the upper class, really nice resort. And the donkeys would just walk up to your window when you stop at a four-way or something. They'd walk up and stick their nose in your window. Okay, next one. This is on the north end of the island up at the park. You can still see a lot of the wild donkeys, and you will see wild goats up there too. Next one. When the population started exploding, they knew they had to do something with the donkeys. So there was a husband and wife actually opened the sanctuary so that they could protect some of the donkeys, because when I first started going there was probably 5,000 people lived on the island. Last year's population was listed as 24,000.
Oh, wow.
It used to be, you could be at Buddy's and look out towards the island, and it was just dark. And then I went back and I started noticing spots lights, and it just kept getting more and more. What happened was the Dutch would sell you the property under the condition that you had to build within 10 years. Well, 10 years would come up and nobody would build anything. So the Dutch said, okay, we'll give you another 10 years. Well, when it hit about 25 years, they said no more extensions. And all of a sudden there was a building boom. So now there is a lot of people living on Bonaire. When you figure they only have the small towns, and it's pretty much just the diving resort stuff. 24,000 people is a lot of people on that island. Okay, next one. Okay, this one kind of shows you how, I'm trying to think where that site is. Anyway, you can see how the shallow and then gets into the drop off, and then it's not that far off and you're looking over at the salt ones.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Okay, let me see what some of the notes that I know I forgot. Oh, they used the US dollar. That was changed. It used to be they would take the guilder or the dollar. The Dutch now, they decide the island will just use the dollar, so we don't have that exchange rate. Oh, do not roll up your windows on your truck. It's all petty crime. There's no real serious crime, but don't roll your windows up. Take old shirts as cover-ups and things. And I mentioned that you need very hard-soled booties. Okay.
Why would you recommend not rolling up your windows?
They will smash your windows because they think there's something in there.
Oh,
You leave windows down, there's nothing.
gotcha.
Another thing I would take is a very small waterproof container. You can put a little bit of money in and put your keys and different things, because like right off the airport, there's a lot of really good food trucks. There's one called Blue Cactus, my favorite. They have excellent lionfish.
Ooh, sounds good. Well, thank you, Randy. We'll
Okay.
stop the recording at least.
I would think so. Thanks, Randy.
Okay.